This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, Rusty back here with your latest Meteo Mundo forecast, and happy Halloween, friends. I hope you're having a great day. Wanted you to meet my friend Pete the Pumpkin. Pete wanted to come on and wish everyone a happy Halloween as well. He's actually a pretty talkative guy, but I've got him on silent mode. Otherwise, he would just keep talking through the entire video. But it got me thinking, you know, here in the United States, we send our kids trick-or-treating, we get them sugar-filled candy from the neighbors, and, you know, that's about it. But if you have an interesting tradition on Halloween that's different from that, I'd love to know about it. Drop it in the comments section below where you're viewing us from, because we have all different countries represented in the Meteo Mundo community. If there's a neat tradition you guys celebrate for Halloween I might not know about, love to hear about them, so others would as well. Gonna take Pete, turn him off, put him to the side, otherwise again he'd just steal the entire video. So in this video we're gonna be talking about our disturbance moving across the Caribbean. That'll obviously be the highlight, but we're gonna cover the entire Caribbean and the Bahamas. I've got some 5-day forecasts coming up. Again, if you have some questions about the forecast, you're welcome to put that in the comment section as well. Happy to answer those. But hopefully, if you join along for the video, I'll answer a lot of those questions. So again, we're watching this disturbance with a high chance of development over the next couple of days. It's Invest 97L. So let's take a look at Invest 97L for you right now. And again, it began to look a little bit better organized late last night and early this morning. Now it's just in its gathering phases, if you will. It loses the heat of the day overnight. The convection, the thunderstorms die out near the center, but there is just ample moisture all around this disturbance throughout the rest of the Caribbean, the eastern, the central, and the western Caribbean. And there's really no signs that this is not going to wrap up into at least a tropical depression. So at least a 70% chance of tropical development here over the next 5 days. Taking a look at the water vapor imagery, these are the lower levels. You can see we lose a little bit of that blow up of storms near the center, but look at all of the abundant moisture, very warm sea surface temperatures, very low shear. It might take a day or two to get to a depression, but that is likely. And then the question is, you know, does this become a tropical storm before it moves off towards the west? So that's kind of the latest on what's happening with it right now. Let me get back over to the IR satellite imagery. And obviously, when we look at this 5-day forecast area of potential development, again, it's not an actual cone yet, again, but this is an actual invest. And I do want to highlight that again real quickly here. Let me move this off towards the side. Right now, the invest has winds of about 30 miles an hour, still moving west at around 10 with a pressure down to 1,008 millibars. Now, locally, in what's going to be the areas impacted today on this Tuesday are going to be the ABC Islands, Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire. You've already seen some showers developing. You can see all of those really thick clouds, those thick high cloud tops, and we're going to get some good scattered tropical downpours for the ABC Islands the remainder of this Tuesday. We've had some heavier rain through Hispaniola on Monday. That'll be redeveloping with the heat of the day as well. So places like Santo Domingo and Port-au-Prince and other areas, again, maybe not a complete washout, but certainly a widespread chance for rain later today. And we'll look at the 5-day forecast as Santo Domingo coming up as well. And then for our friends in Jamaica, again, moisture coming in, everything riding in from east to west. So we're going to see improving rain chances in Jamaica starting later today for the next couple of days. But let's talk about the models and what it's going to be doing with this system here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go and show you all the models over the next 5 days. All right, we'll look at several different models, and then we'll come back and look at the GFS model days 6 through 10, kind of the extended time. And the reason why I want to do it that way is because I do feel like that we have a good handle on what's going to be happening with this system over the next 5 days. And as I put this into motion for you, friends, if you want to do me a big favor, hit the like button. I really appreciate it. It helps out me. It helps out the channel. We had a lot of likes in the last video. We had a lot of views. Thank you very much for doing that. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button if you want to get the latest forecast on this invest and throughout the Caribbean and the Bahamas. So again, we're looking at the GFS model. And this model is taking it basically due west and right into Central America as we move into the weekend. And this is a pretty high consensus of the other models as well. So there's a good agreement that we'll begin to wrap up a system as we get into Wednesday, but especially Thursday and Friday. Now on the GFS, this newest run, it's not as strong. The wind profile is not as strong with this, but obviously we're slamming just look how much moisture, look how much rain is going to be coming along with this system. So it is going to be spreading widespread high rain totals, especially right now, based on these models, into portions of Central America, especially from Nicaragua up towards Honduras, maybe portions of Guatemala, certainly Belize along the coastline, and then eventually the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. So maybe the wind threat, at least in the latest model runs, is going down a little bit, but the rain potential and the high rain potential, flooding potential, looks to still be very high for most of Central America, but especially up towards the northern sides, again, on towards Honduras and Belize, the eastern sides of Guatemala, and then eventually the Yucatan as well. So let's take a look at the wind profile out of this. And again, what you're going to notice here is that the winds yesterday were certainly, by the way, this is Pilar in the eastern Pacific moving away, but it's bringing some lashing rains to the eastern sides of places like Nicaragua and then El Salvador and Guatemala as well. So looking at the next 5 days, take a look at the winds developing. We'll start to wrap it up as we get towards our Friday and Saturday, and then just a little bit more wind right there as it heads towards Belize. Again, this is on the GFS model. I'll put this back out into time. Now, again, is it as strong as yesterday? No. What kind of winds would we be looking at here? This would be teetering on tropical depression or weak tropical storm strength. So TD22 is likely. Tropical storm Vince is a little bit more up in the air, but it's good to see that we're not wrapping up a higher end tropical storm here, or even worse, to be quite honest. But obviously, coastal conditions could be greatly impacted here for places like Belize City, down towards St. Pedro Sula, and even a little bit farther east and south as you go across the coastlines of both Honduras and Nicaragua. Maybe northern sides of Costa Rica, but generally speaking, that's going to be a little bit too far up to the north. But again, decent wind profile with the GFS model, but nothing that's wrapped up too significantly. So we have pretty good confidence that we're going to get a tropical depression out of this, maybe a weak tropical storm. But at this point in time, the models really aren't showing much more than that as far as strength of wind. Now, wind is one thing with the tropical system. I'm going to loop this one more time. But the other big, obviously, threat is the rain potential, and that could be very significant here. Let me switch over to the total precipitation. Again, this is all the GFS models so far over the next 5 days. And you're just going to see a tremendous swath of very heavy rain work its way from east to west across the Caribbean the rest of this week and into the weekend. And when you get into Central America, you're looking at the potential of some very high rainfall totals. I do want to start, though, with, again, the areas that will be impacted in the short term. And we'll start off with our friends in the ABC Islands. So places like Aruba and Curacao and Bonaire, averaging about 3 to maybe 6+ inches of rain. Now, this is over the next 5 days, but when I back this up, if you look at the model, this is today, then as we get into tomorrow and then into Wednesday, the majority of your, as we get into Thursday and Friday, the majority of your rain falls between today and Thursday, because again, that moisture is moving off towards the west. So for Aruba and Bonaire and Curacao, maybe locally 3 to 6 inches of rain over the next 2 to potentially 3 days. For Hispaniola, for Port-au-Prince, Haiti, again, the rainfall totals don't look to be as significant. Generally speaking, the model is trying to keep the moisture axis a little bit farther off towards the south than places like Hispaniola and Jamaica. But that doesn't mean we won't get some pockets of heavier downpours. And again, for Santo Domingo itself right now, again, 1 to maybe 2+ inches of rain. Now, locally, there'll be some higher amounts. And again, we always want to kind of average this out. Notice there's a bullseye of heavy rain just off of Jamaica, okay? Then when I zoom in here, we have much lower totals, relatively speaking, across the island, although the model's showing 2 inches near Kingston and Portmore and Spanish Town. Montego Bay would be a little bit less. But again, just offshore, we've got 3-4 inches of rain, and that locally is possible in Jamaica, especially starting later today, but then throughout your Wednesday and Thursday. So again, the time frame is basically the farther west that you go, the later into the week. And then as you get into the Central American coastline, that's where we could really see some heavy rainfall totals. So again, this is the model for the next 5 days, and just off the coast, it has more than a foot of rain. Now, again, we need to watch this, especially where the actual track is going to be, but it just shows you that the heavy rainfall potential is absolutely there on the GFS model. There'll be areas that don't get a lot of rain, but then you get into some of the higher terrain, and then you have to deal with the mudslide potential. So for Belize City, and we'll go out even farther in time because Belize City is going to pick up more rain in that 6 to 7 day time frame, but through 5 days, potentially, you know, a half foot of rain. And obviously the rain will begin to fall in the Yucatan, but beginning in that 6 day time frame and beyond is when we really start to see the impacts of what this will become for places like Cancun and Cozumel. So again, that's kind of a broad brush look at that. I do want to switch over to the NAM model real quick. I want to just look at the winds out of this, and again, just show you the wind profile out of the NAM model. We'll put this into motion so you just kind of get an idea. It's the same time frame as the GFS model, and you're just not going to see as much wind with the NAM. It will try and wrap up a little bit again towards Belize and the coastline of Central America, but there's nothing as organized here. It's much more broad in nature. This would be kind of a depression, maybe just staying a disturbance. So it's good to see that the NAM model is a little bit weaker. Now let's take a look at some of the other models. First of all, I want to start off with the GFS track. I'm going to take myself off camera. If you notice the black line, that is basically the ensemble mean, basically the average of all of the GFS members and what they have coming together. Notice it goes right through Nicaragua and then begins to turn north towards Honduras and eventually El Salvador and Guatemala and Belize and then up towards the Yucatan. There are some of the models that take a little bit farther north quicker, but notice that almost every one of these GFS members take it through Central America. That would weaken the wind significantly. If this wind were, you know, if it was going to try and stay up, it would have to stay in the open waters, and the model just simply doesn't do that. So that's good news as far as the wind profile goes. When you look at the European model plots, you're going to see these developing in the Western Caribbean. These are fairly weak storms, but again, they're very concentrated, trying to move right into Nicaragua and then eventually Honduras. The NAM model, the GFS model, the European model are all in very good agreement as far as where this is headed over the next 5 days. And that's why I wanted to show you that, guys. I wanted you to see that there's good consistency in the models over the next 5 days as far as the track. As far as intensity, again, relatively weak system. You know, you're looking at pressures right now, right around 1,004, 1,005 millibars in some areas, a little bit lower on some of those members, but nothing that would wrap up a higher end tropical storm. That on the European model would be depression to a weak tropical storm. But again, good agreement with the track. And that's important to talk about. Okay, let's get back to the GFS model, and we're going to take a look at that extended time frame, as I mentioned, over the next 10 days now. So we'll look at what the GFS model does once it moves into Central America. Again, with the wind profile being much weaker now, what we would expect to see as we move up into the Yucatan and then the western sides of Cuba is just a rainmaker, all right? Certainly would be some breezy conditions, but for Cancun and Cozumel, you can see as we get towards the 5th and the 6th and the 7th, there's going to be some showers. Now, again, it should be a fairly fast-moving system. I think the model still has to paint on the next couple of days here, so I'm going to let it keep running as I talk. It should be a fairly progressive system. Now, it might take that moisture and keep it back into the Northwest Caribbean, and we might actually have some showers there. Now, potentially, we're getting a new model run from the GFS as I speak, and we may not have the full 10 days out. I'm going to let it run one more time here and see if it goes back off camera. All right, no, it's there. It's just, now it is going away. All right. So what's happening right now is on the back end, we're getting a brand new model run from the GFS. Let me see if I can switch to the higher resolution here and go out to a particular time frame. Let's just see if I can get a snapshot. No. Oh, yep, there we go. Okay. So this is the 11th. And to just show you this here, and if I need to take this kind of frame by frame, I will. Hopefully, I'm going to try and loop it one more time if you guys can bear with me here. Let's see, but we'll go back through the 11th if I can. Hopefully, again, this will start to loop. But let me kind of talk this through as this is trying to loop up the 6 to 10 day time frame. I would expect there to be some decent rain over the weekend for the Yucatan, maybe into Monday as well. But this is a fairly progressive system, meaning that there is some forward speed, and that moisture should come back off the Yucatan. Now, it might sit in the Northwest Caribbean for a bit, and you can see now we are picking up all 10 days. But again, as far as sitting over the Yucatan with days and days of rain, I don't expect that at this point in time. There's still going to be an abundant amount of moisture, and you can see the GFS model, and I don't have a lot of faith in it when we get out to that 9 to 10 day time frame, but you can see just how much more moisture it kind of keeps in the Caribbean. But as far as the winds go, I have a wrapped up system? You know, the answer is going to be no, because once it does move into Central America, if that ends up being the solution, which again, all the major models agree on, the wind profile should be ripped apart by some of the higher terrain there in Central America. Again, breezy conditions, absolutely. Wind-driven showers and downpours for Cancun and Cozumel over the weekend? Sure, but are we going to have a higher-end storm moving that way? More than likely not right now based on the model data. You can still see that through the 9th and the 10th, fresh breezes, no doubt about it. I mean, it could be a fairly breezy forecast. Is it going to be completely sunny? No, I don't think so. But again, a lot of folks have been asking me about the Yucatan with some vacation plans or travel plans there, so I want to make sure I highlighted that. Okay, so let's get back right now to the rest of the forecast. I think we've covered this pretty well, and we're going to keep a very close eye on this system. So what else is happening right now? Well, for my friends in the Bahamas, it's going to be some beautiful weather here. Again, that's Invest never developed into anything. We've got nice sunny conditions here on this Halloween Tuesday. We'll take a look at the GFS model here over the next 5 days, and I'm just going to go through the rest of the areas that I haven't mentioned as of yet. So let me drop this back down over the next 5 days, put this into motion. Actually, let me switch to this real fast. There we go. That'll give us a little bit better idea. All right, so put this into motion. I'll zoom back in, and you can see for places like Grand Bahama and Abaco and Eleuthera and Nassau and Georgetown, fairly dry now. We're going to pick up a better chance for rain late in the week and into the weekend here. Moisture returning from the south, especially for the southeast Bahamas and the central Bahamas, but certainly some of this rain trying to work its way back up towards Freeport and Lucaya and Marsh Harbor. Same thing for the Turks and Caicos. Relatively dry the next couple days. You'll pick up some moisture coming in beginning on Thursday with scattered showers there. And again, just covering the areas here. I want to make sure I cover everyone, but if I'm going fairly quickly in your area, it just means that there's not in the way of a lot of higher end weather threats. I mean, obviously we got to keep a close eye on that disturbance through the majority of the Caribbean, but thankfully for places like the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, we're drying out. I would just expect some scattered showers there. By the way, there is a complex of showers and storms well east of the Lesser Antilles. That doesn't look to be organizing as well. Keep an eye on it. There is some moisture kind of moving through here. You can see that. So we'll see some scattered rain, but again, nothing of any prominence for places like St. Lucia and Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago. Again, not the persistent heavier rains that you had over the weekend. Some scattered showers are absolutely possible, but nothing that, again, concerns me. But you can just see, again, the abundant amount of moisture. I think the rain totals are going to be quite significant in Central America with this. That actually kind of is one of my biggest concerns. So we're going to wrap up the video with some 5-day forecasts. For my friends in Santo Domingo, widespread rain today. Rain is still likely on Wednesday, potentially locally higher rainfall totals, especially in some of the higher elevations. Then as that disturbance moves off towards the west, you begin to dry out. Temperatures begin to warm back up. Look for a daytime high on Friday and Saturday of 90. For my friends in Kingston, a 40% chance for showers there. By the way, we had some reports. Some of you guys let me know that there was an earthquake in Kingston yesterday in Jamaica itself, and we certainly wish you guys the best. We hope that the reports of no loss of life still holds true, and we wish you the best in the recovery. Again, drop a comment below. Let me know how you guys are doing and faring after that significant earthquake. For the forecast, rain-wise, a 40% chance for showers the remainder of the day, but then the shower chance really ramps up tonight, and on Thursday, a 60% chance for showers. It's going to be breezy out there with some rain and some scattered showers as well. Look for daytime highs to rebound back into the lower 90s. So back over here real quick, guys, I want to show you something that we were doing here. Again, we live stream nearly 24 hours a day, and this is what you would see. If you go to our live tab, we have our system giving you real-time updated satellite imagery, radar data. We have the tracks and the updated tracks and the spaghetti plot models from the Hurricane Center and real-time temperatures. So if you want to pop in at any point in time to our live stream and kind of get the latest forecast and updated information in your area in between these videos, certainly do that. Pop on in for us here, drop a comment in those videos as well. Hit that like button. We appreciate those. So I'm going to take myself off camera because I want to bring my friend Pete back on. I know that he wants to wish you guys a very happy Halloween. So here comes Pete again. Oh, he's on silent face mode right now.
The difference between me and all those other Halloween decorations, I know when you're talking about me.
See that? Pete had a few things he needs to say. Anything else you want to say, Pete, before we say goodbye? No? Nothing else? Normally he's more talkative than this, but I guess not. He just wants to do a couple of faces. All right, friends, have a happy Halloween. Oh, here we go. There you go. Pete said it. I don't need to say any more. Like, subscribe. We appreciate you. We'll see you back here next time at Meteo Mundo. Have a safe and happy Halloween, friends.